Good morning guys, welcome to my Flosstube. My name is Emily. I'm Crafty Emily here on YouTube. It is Sunday, April 28th, 20 to 10 in the morning. I am off work today, which is marvellous news. Got through my first week of late. I've only done 2 lates actually. No, I did an early, a middle and 2 lates. So, yeah, they're not my favourites, but we'll get through them, that's fine. Only my second cup of coffee of the morning, so still a bit sleepy. Right, I've not a lot of stitching to show you this week, I've got to be perfectly honest, but I'm coming on to do Flosstube anyway because I like to try and keep up, and I've done some stuff and I've bought some stuff, which haul from me is quite unusual, and I've got proper bona fide box of haul, well, packet of haul. So I'm going to show you my vast amount of stitching this week and then lead into all the other stuff. So if you're just here for the stitching, it's going to be a real quickie. It's going to be 5-6 minutes probably, because I haven't done a great deal. I am way behind on my bookshelf. I have 28th, 29th and the 30th to finish my stitches, and yeah, I've got another 40, possibly 1500 stitches to go this month. Oops. It's what I tend to do some months, but this is month 24. I'm heading for 24%. For those of you who have just subscribed, I've had a little batch of new subscribers. You're very welcome here. I do talk drivel. I am usually a prolific cross stitcher. Just for now, I've been a fairly lackadaisical cross stitcher, but you know, it's not from want of doing it. It's from lack of time, and I'm in the middle of not in the middle. I'm pretty much moved, but I still have a lot of stuff. I brought a whole carload of craft stuff here day before yesterday, and yeah, I only have a very little car, but my goodness me, there was a lot of assorted craft stuff. I went into the shed, which I've not been in for conservatively 5 or 6 years. There is a lot of craft stuff in there, which is going to need sorting through and sorting out. Lots of beads, lots of sequins, lots of little dingle dangles, lots of ideas, lots of half-made things, mostly knitting. It was before cross stitch, long before cross stitch. So yeah, who knew? So I brought a whole load of that, and it all needs sorting out, and I'm getting there. I'm basically getting boxes. Oh, I haven't got one to hand. Little plastic tubs about 12 inches by 8 inches by about 6 or 7 inches deep, clear plastic tubs, and I'm literally going sequins, beads, trims, like stuff like cutters, like needle minder stuff, like cutters, like the cabochons, thread. Oh my god, I've got so much thread. We won't even talk about how much thread I have. Like pens and pencils. I'm just looking to see what my categories are over there. I do need to go and get some more today because I've kind of run out of categories. I've run out of boxes to fit the categories, and I'm still finding more different stuff. But I'm getting there, and I will get it all sorted out, and then my life's going to be so much more smooth to find things, to the point that I've found some things and made some things, which I'll show you. Anyway, my treasure hunt bookshelf. I started this 2 years ago. I actually started it, I think, at the end of April, and we called it the 1st of May. But it's a supersize max colour Haid by Amy Stewart, and at 1% a month. I obviously do 12% a year, so I'm just heading towards 24%, and in this time, only 1 month, I think it was July, possibly last year, I missed my deadline of the end of the month, and I was about 1,000 stitches out or something, which I then made up very quickly and then did my full percent for the next month. So I've decided to colour complete 823, and when I filmed last time it was at 15,000 odd, and I've now got about 12,500 stitches to go, so you can see roughly the stitches I've put in this week. So as many as it should have been. So I can show you, because it's out of its Q-snap, because I finished all of the 823 in the area I was working in, and I'll show you my plans for it next. So I don't even know if it's worth putting up where it was, but I have done all the 823 in loosely this area. if I can just see that I'm in the right place. There we go. Loosely this area, all the 823 is done. I'm going to go over here. As I say, I've still got about 1400 stitches for the month to go. There's 823, it's this side, it's this side. It's monumentally large. I had this at work yesterday, oh my God. There's some 823 here, and then there's 823 in here to finish off this bit, and then there's a few ninja stitches in this dragon, who I haven't stitched the dragon yet, but there is a beautiful little dragon there that I will eventually obviously stitch in. Some here, and then I'm going to jump off there, leave that bit, and I'm going to come up to this corner, and I'm going to do tons and tons. Next month's stitching is going to be here, and then when I've finished those stitches, I've got a small issue because there's then a big gap of a whole bookshelf that really doesn't have any 823 in, and we're talking the bookshelf is that deep. So to count down, it is gridded fabric, but I do not want to make a mistake. There's my little Foxy. Where's my little, oh, that's her hand. Oh, my little Foxy Loxy's down there. So I'm going to pick a piece where there's probably the spine of a book, and I will stitch down in different colours down the spine of the book to like give me a starting point for the lower shelves of the 823. So I am going to colour complete the 823, but not next month, but the month after. I'll need to stitch in a different colour down a book spine so that I can absolutely know that I've not missed 10 stitches and I'm stitching 10 stitches out. I need, because I'm going to be counting, I would literally be counting like 150 stitches down, which yes, you can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, but what if I'm half asleep and I count 140 or 160 when it needs to be 150, and I do all the 823 in the wrong place? Don't want it to happen, really don't want that to happen. So I'll pick another colour, I'll pick a book spine, and I'll, like I did when I was finding the fox, I had to stitch this book spine down here, and found some lovely bubbles and found the girl's hand, and then I've now done the 823 there, there's another big bubble there I think, and then I went down this book spine to get to the fox. So I'll pretty much do the same, pick another book spine, go right down that book to get to the 823, because I have got the bottom, realistically the bottom half of this piece is pretty blank. It's pretty blank. There's a few stitches starting to touch there, but mostly there's nothing there. So to get down to there, I'll go down a book, just so I'm not silly. I really don't want to be silly with this piece. And this piece will be done. By the way, if you've just seen how disgustingly filthy my fabric is, it will get washed when it's done, but that's going to be another 6 odd years. I can't wash it yet, because if I wash it, I will take out the grid lines and then I really am scuppered. So I'm just dealing with it. It lives in a bag most of the time. Obviously, because I took it to work yesterday, it wasn't in its bag. But because that's how I roll, because I'm pretty hopeless generally. Anyway, so treasure hunt bookshelf, I've still got stitches in this month. They are going to be 823 stitches, and then next month 823 stitches as well. 7,222 stitches of 823 will go into that next month. 1% a month, 2 years into it, and we're all good. When I get to the end of my stitches for this month, I'm going to lay it on the floor and take an overhead picture of it so that I've got a end of year 2. Don't know if I did it at the end of year 1. I suspect not. I definitely did it at the turn of the year, but that was only 4 months ago. So next month I'll be able to put up a big picture and show you what 2 years working on a supersize max colour Haid 1% a month looks like. I've been working on my key as well, and I'm currently putting in 415 I think, or 414. I'm not even sure, can't look it up because it's on the phone I'm recording on. And I've basically, let's take the Q, I have moved the Q snaps. Again, it's not worth me putting up a picture because I've basically put in all of the whichever something I've done. I put in all the stitches here and a lot of the stitches here. I'm just coming down here to finish off the bit that's within the Q-snap, and then I'll move the Q-snap along and catch it up to the edge of the piece, which is there. And I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, just keep colour completing until I either get bored of the colour or I finish the colour. If I get bored of the colour, I'll just change it to a different colour. This one I'm not trying to be specific with, but there we go. Which kind of leads into my haul. I saw a picture, and I'm not too sure, must have been on Instagram or somewhere. I think it was Instagram, and it jumped up and hit me. For my daughter Lizzie, my middle daughter, Aphrodite, Bella Filipina chart. I have been gifted a mermaid Bella Filipina, but I saw this one and I just thought, oh my goodness, we have a bit of a swan thing going on, which I may or may not explain at some point. And we also have, it's actually, if you've seen the movie, Austenland, it's one of our favourites. It's one of our happy time go-to movies that we watch quite a lot because it's hilarious. And yes, there's a very obvious Aphrodite link to that as well, and it's just so silly and it makes us giggle. So I saw the swan, I saw Aphrodite, and I thought, yes, absolutely perfect. So I went to Arts and Designs and put the pattern in my basket, and there are a lot of beads and treasures on this, and when you put a pattern like that in your basket, it asks you, it brings up a click here for the kit list, and it does everything from the fabric to it's all DMC. Don't need any of that, I have DMC, not a problem. And then the beads and the treasures, and it's charted for Kryneck, but they have subbed in petite treasure braid. One, I prefer stitching with petite treasure braid every day of the week, and two, the Kryneck's probably a bit hard to get hold of. Even Kate at Lakeside has a bit of trouble getting hold of it now and again. I believe the supply's okay at the moment, but as soon as it comes in, it goes out, if you see what I mean. So I am all good with petite treasure braid. So I put it all in the basket, all but the DMCs, and it was an awful lot of money. With the pattern, which was probably, I think, £14, it was like 70 odd pounds for everything. This is with no DMC, and quite a lot of the beads were out of stock. And I was like, oh, and certainly some of the treasures were. So I went back and I did a little bit of trawling on the site, and they had one in stock, and then I got FOMO, of course, of a bead pack with all the beads and all the treasures, the ones that were out of stock. So I assume in 2022, because this has been put together by Arts and Designs, I assume in 2022 when the pattern came out, they put together one, possibly two bead packs, and they had one left. This was £19, which, to buy all of this lot individually, even if they had it in stock, was half as much again. So I extravagantly bought a pattern and the bead pack. Now, I've bought bead packs from Arts and Designs before for the Gardenia and Spring Clover, Nora Corbett's. Spring Clover is yet to produce herself to me. It's still at my old house. I've not yet come across her. She is there, and I've got the fabric and I've got the bead pack, and I really want to stitch her. But there we go. Now, my next quandary is having another huge whip, and the fabric I don't really want to stitch on whatever this brown is, because I'm not a very big brown stitcher. However, it does seem she looks very nice on the brown fabric. So I'm like, I don't know. So I thought, right, I need to get a whip out of my whip pile. So I pulled out a Flossmas, which I thought I could get finished really, really, really quickly. Two problems with that. One, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. And two, the fabric's wrong. I pulled out my Barbara Anna, the little Santa This is on my old phone, so I can't because the battery's run out. That's fine. Obviously left it open, no bother. The little, the Santa on the snail that I started in Flossmas on a fat quarter of iridescent mushroom, possibly Lugana, linen. Is it linen? It's linen, and he's here. And can you see my problem with him? I'm not going to stitch any more on this because I can't see it. Genuinely, I can't see it. All the colours, the colour I'm currently stitching with is essentially half a shade lighter than the fabric. I can't see him. I will restart him on something a lot bolder. I will stitch this and I will restart it and I'll get it to where it is very quickly. But I started with this bit in Flossmas and I knew as soon as I got onto the snails, there's a snail there. Can we see him? Nah. In real life, it's even worse. I really can't see him. So that's going to get frogged and I will restart him. But then I have this piece of, I think it might be, let's pull about an inch there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It might be 40, it might be 28 count. Now I can do her on 28 count. So this is one of the possibilities I currently have. I'm going to pull out all the fabric I do have and see what I've got. It says a fat quarter, which I think this is. If it's not a fat quarter, it's close. But I'm not saying for sure that I'm going to do it on this fabric. Yes, that's a fat quarter. It's this big. And it's not really showing. It's, yeah, it's there. Look, there you can see him. Or can you see him? I can't see him. Not properly. I'm going to stitch him on something a lot bolder. Yeah, good idea at the time. Not the right one for this. I need to serge this edges as well, which I can do instantaneously. I will definitely do that before the fabric gets any smaller. So this is one of the possibilities. I will dig out some others and show you them. I'm not going to start this immediately by any stretch of anyone's imagination. I just thought if I buy that pattern and don't get the beads, and it's not the beads are fine, it's the treasures, and I don't get the treasures, I'm not going to be able to get the bloody treasures, because we all know that Mill Hill and the treasures are now pretty much unobtainium. So yeah, I got the full pack and I'm really pleased with that, and it's something I've got now that I can do. I don't usually do kit ups, and also obviously I got the 3 treasure braids, a bright fuchsia, a pearl, which is the sort of the white shiny and antique gold. I've got lots of gold, but not this bright antique gold. So I've got those as well. So I have the kit up, bar the DMC and choosing a fabric. I'm not intending to buy a fabric. I kind of wanted 32, so it's a bit smaller. You can go to 32. It's charted in 28 or 32, the pattern says. So either or is good. So I'm going to figure out the colour, and I will start it. And I think maybe we'll go for it. She's just about to turn 18 in a couple of months. I think realistically, maybe a 21st birthday present. That gives me a few years, doesn't it? Right. If you're just here for the stitching and a little bit of haul, then that's me all done. I'm going to talk about things I've made now and an idea I've had. So if you don't want to hear selling stuff, I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you possibly next week, hopefully next week. If I get some stitching done, I'll see you next week. Right, so I showed you these last week, these bags that I found that were missing their binding. So I found my box of binding, and I pinned it all on. I wonder clipped it all on, and I stitched the binding. This one was the first one I did, and it actually went quite well. Covered in Nancy's hair. It went quite well. The binding went on all right. I needed to do a little bit of catching up behind. So there's bag 1. So they are quite they're sort of A4 paper size, these bags, with the sparkly vinyl I always put on, and they're lightly padded. There is a piece of wadding and it's been loosely quilted with my absolutely favourite fabric, which I very happily have a couple of meters of. So that's that one. And then the next one I pinned on and machined, I made an almighty pig's ear of. The binding went on so badly. So I took it off and I did something else. I stitched it on the right side, on the front side. I stitched it on, and then I folded it over and I hand stitched it down. So it's perfect. They're all quilted slightly differently, and the binding's hand stitched, and I think that looks beautiful. I am so happy with it. There's no line of stitching on the front. This one has a line, a very bad, but that's where I've taken out, that's where I've ripped out the stitching that was on, and it's a bit of a giggle because you can see how utterly terrible it was. It was puckered, it was rubbish, and I was so unhappy with it. I thought, that's got to go. So I took it off, and then I just thought, oh, for goodness sakes, you can sew it by hand. And so I sewed it on the machine on the front and by hand on the back, and I'm so happy with it. So that's the second bag. And then the last two, I didn't even fuss with, I just did exactly the same. So these two I'm even more happy with. There's the third one with this lovely binding here. That one's got that backing. They're all the same but different. So there's 4 of these. There's number 4. And again, it's so beautiful. Look, it's hand stitched. I'm so happy with it. Going forwards, my bags are not going to look like this. I've made these up because I already had them. My bags are going to be like a solid bag with a vinyl pocket on the front to put bits and bobs in, and then they're going to be bigger and square to fit these boys in. And then if anybody ever wants like a 11 by 17 bag, anything like that, I can do that. But for right now, I'm going to make 11 by 11s. So there's number 4. And I'm so happy with them because I figured out the binding. And I thought, right, that's fair enough. But wouldn't it be nice, thinking about Flossmas, when I made the little vinyl bags and I sold a pack. You got the little bag, you got a thread bed, and you got the needle minder in a little pack. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a little pack to sell them as a little set? So I've just realised I don't have a piece of cardboard. Why do I not have the thing I need to hand? Hang on a minute, I'm going to chatter. So I thought, let's do this. Let's do it like this. So I thought, why not make a little set of them? And so that is what I've done. I have got, only 2 seconds. I know what all this stuff is. I made needle minders to match in with the little birds, and I made its wing is a cane, is a female cane that I made, which obviously I can't put my hand on because it's right over there. That's right over there. I made a wing shape, so there's a needle minder, and then I made some scissor fobs. So let me just grab one of these. So it's the same little bird, but he's a little 3D bird. They actually sit up. And I made 2 beads for each one with the leftover cane. So there's a little scissor fob, a needle minder, and a bag. There's 4 of these. I made a couple of spares of the scissor fobs, just so I had them. and that's fine. I can go there. Oh, there's my little birds, and that's so cute. The only thing I'm going to do with these, because the beaks obviously are pointy, I'm just going to paint them with resin, the beaks, and UV resin them just so that they're extra strong. Just so that they're extra strong. Why is he hanging badly? There we go. So there we are. Little bird and little needle minder. So by the time this video goes up, the 4 bags with a needle minder and a scissor fob or a zipper pull, whichever you prefer to use it for, or whatever you want to use it for, will be in my Etsy shop, which is Crafty Emily. I'll put the link in this. I don't always put the link in my videos, but I will this time. So there we go. I got a little scissor fobs. I did a couple of extras because I love the fabric and I'm going to use the fabric again. So if a bag is predominantly this fabric, it'll come with a little scissor fob as well. So there'll be a little pack. I also found, I got lots of things this week, which is why I don't always do this. While I was tidying up Lizzie's things, I found 3 rather pretty, oh, that's got a needle minder on it. 3 rather pretty finished scissor fobs, so they'll go in. Just because if I'm going to do an update, I may as well list the things I've got. And a few of these, I've got the red cherry pie, the red apple pie, and the green apple pie, which have got big magnets on because I appreciate they're quite thick. These are thicker and chunkier than my usual needle minders. And I found some strawberry ones. So there's 2 strawberry pies as well, which are in the little tin lid. They've got pastry in them. They've got the fruit in them, which I made. This is all my canes. I've made all these canes and then I've resined them so that they're shiny and nice. And they've got very big magnets on. And I found some unfinished old ones of these, my little galaxy swirls. So I've put some extra glitters on them and resin them. So I got a couple of them. And I've got another one of these, which I put some extra glitter in, that's sort of the wave swirl. And I found some tiny tiddlies, little canes I've made in the past. And these will be sold in pairs. These are really good for holding your patterns on. Again, they've still got really good magnets on them. They're really grippy, but they're tiddly. So I'll sell them in little sets. And these gorgeous things, which are like the ends of the canes. Again, they'll be a pair so that you can hold your patterns down onto your fabric if that's how you work. Certainly when I'm using a paper pattern, I clip piece of paper pattern onto my fabric above the Q, above where I'm working on the Q snap, so that I can see it without having to constantly look backwards and forwards. So that I made those because they solved the need that I had. Then I made some canes, and there's currently 4 of these and 8 of these, which these will be going into Etsy as well, of dragon eyes, and it's a new cane. There isn't a lot of this cane. I'm basically going to make one cane, make all the needle minders I need that I to use it up, and then that'll be that. So there'll be a few, and they as usual with me, they've mostly got different coloured eyeballs. That is Richard just walking past, trying not to be seen, so he walked like a hunchback. Don't know why he did that. What did you do that for? He's busy, he's got to get on. He's a getter-onerer. So different coloured eyeballs. And then this cane here is purple, pink, and kind of like a copper colour. So he is there. Oh, light. Let's put that one on the board as well. There. Oh, light. Here. So again, different coloured eyeballs, same cane, but they're all same but different. Now my light's gone. So there's 8 of those going up and 4 of those going up. And I found a whole load of, every now and again, every time I do a batch of needle minders, I'm just going to do, I've got probably 200 stamps ready to be resined. So I'll just, each time I do it, each time I do a batch, there's a gorgeous stag beetle there. I'll do a pile of, that's a big old 20p stamp. Goodness, that's a big one. And then there's this gorgeous guy from the Crimean War. Look at him, this old soldier. I've made one of him before. And then I've got a beautiful botanical set there. I love this set of stamps. And as usual with my wooden needle minders, they are small, they are light, they're on a piece of wood that is light, they're very thin, they're very grippy. There he is, busy in his garden. Oh, and found a Luke Skywalker, and I'm not too sure why he didn't get done before and listed with the others when I did the other set of those. So that's them. So I've got a whole pile of needle minders going into Etsy as well. And then I was stitching on the key and I suddenly thought, oh, so I ordered me some metal key fobs, like, you know, so this little guy, he's the only one I've made so far. He's going to be a scissor fob. He's my first go at a dragon on a key. Isn't he just so squinky cute? So he's going to be put on I'm just going to put him straight on a lobster claw, you know, that like one of these boys. But obviously he's antique and that's bright silver. So I've got some antique ones coming. So he'll get listed with the right colour top on, as will these two. I made tentacly little keys. Obviously I got all sorts of keys. I ordered myself 2 packets of them and went, oh my goodness, I can have so much fun with these. So these are the first 2 I did with the tentacles, because I like a tentacly thing. So it's 2 tentacly keys. So they will go up as quite small scissor fobs. I'm just going to put some shiny beads, and again the right colour thing. So it's going to be a little bit of an Etsy update. So please go and have a little look-see. And yeah, so that's that. And the other thing I thought of doing, while I was thinking, well, if I'm going to make these needle minders, like my Dragon Eye needle minders, in a batch, so that rather than every single one of them being different, I'm going to make a very pretty cane. And I'm just going to get my 2 canes, hang on, so I can show you. There's beads and stuff everywhere. I just need to cut that one. There's never a blade when you need one. There's a blade. Right. So I can maybe show you the canes easier. There. Please zoom in, please camera. Please focus on it. You can see that that's that one. And then this cane here, if I just take a little cut through that, I can show you that one really well. And that's that one there. So it's pink and purple, and then the cream. It's actually ecru, so it actually, once it cooks, it goes this sort of colour. Oh, it's exactly the same colour. To me it looked darker, it isn't. So all you do is just reduce your cane down. And so I've made a cane. This will reduce down to probably twice the length, and then you cut the scales. So that's, once that's gone, it's gone. I've made more of those, so that's all I have left of that one. And again, once it's gone, it's gone. So there's probably another 4 or 5 in there. So I'll do those. And I thought, well, if I'm only going to be making that many of something, I thought, would anyone be interested in maybe a Needle Minder of the Month club? sort of thing, where I make a limited number, obviously the number of people who are 2, 4, 7 of, and that'll be the only ones of those I make. So you get like one, you know, like almost an exclusive. They're never going to go up in Etsy. They're just going to be that many. I make that many of them, and that's them done. And it might be something like this. It might be something like this. It might be a really pretty stamp, like at Christmas. You might get a Christmas stamp and then a handmade one. But would anybody be interested in that? And it would be something that I would do with a PayPal invoice, so there wouldn't be any Etsy, because Etsy takes an awful lot of fees. And going forwards, I've got so much stuff, I need to use up my stuff, basically. Richard shakes his head and says, you've got tens of thousands of pounds worth of stuff here. And he's probably right. I've got a lot of craft stuff to be used. Just the quantity of Fimo alone I have is astonishing. I've been collecting it for a very long time, you know, and it doesn't go wrong. It's just polymer. It doesn't do anything wrong. Oh, a cup of coffee. A new cup of coffee. I'm going to say that one's gone a bit cold. Thank you, dear. Why were you walking like a weird hunchback?
I didn't want to get into your picture.
You were in the picture, but you walked like a weird hunchback. You could have just walked normally. Hot coffee as opposed to lukewarm coffee. I am about to finish my lukewarm coffee off though. Anyway, so I don't know. I think what I'll do is I'll put a post up on Instagram with like a so if you're following me on Instagram, I think almost everyone who watches me probably does. I'm just Emily.Bryn there. It's just my actual name rather than Crafty Emily. And I'm going to put a post up of just probably the cork with a selection of needle minders on it. That obviously would be just it as a kind of a grippy come and get it post. And if you comment below that as to whether you'd be interested in a needle minder of the month club sort of thing, that will give me an idea as to whether it's a good idea to run with or a bad idea, forget it sort of thing. But I'm really, really excited at the thought of getting back into making things. I adore my cross stitch. If someone asks me what I am now, I would say a cross stitcher. Before I would say I was a knitter. Now I would say I'm a cross stitcher. I adore cross stitch. I'm going to do my cross stitch. This isn't even really a side hustle. This is oh my God, I can't, when I've got my craft stuff sorted out, I'm going to show you what I've got. But at the moment, it's so shameful, the quantity of unsorted stuff I have. When it's all sorted and beautiful and very aesthetically pleasing, I will show you it. But oh my God, I've got so much. It's not even a side hustle. It is a, holy crap, I have to get rid of, no, not get rid, I have to use some of the things I have. But, so I'm really excited to actually be able to see what I've got and use up some of the things that I've got. There's boxes of beads everywhere. I can't even begin to tell you how many boxes of beads and things I own. It's unbelievable. I could make scissor fobs between now and, you know, 2078 and I still would not have to buy anything. She says waiting on an Amazon packet of lobster claws. Some things like the magnets and the day-to-day bits and pieces you run out of. But the actual pretty items, I've pretty much got an endless supply because I've already bought it all. And my fabric is out of control. I'm not even kidding. I have probably got the wrong side of 400 fat quarters upstairs, and I'm not even kidding. And then there's a drawer full of bigger pieces of fabric and a drawer full of, and that's unstarted fat quarters, not ones I've already cut into. So much. There's so much. So I'm actually quite excited about getting on. So that's all to say. There'll be an Etsy update, and every now and again, it might be once a month, it might be one every 6 videos or something, I'll say I've made a whole pile of stuff. It's going in my Etsy, and I hope maybe within a year I can get off Etsy and have a little website, because Etsy is tremendously expensive. I do not like their business ethos. I don't think it's a good place, but I don't know how to get the visibility without Etsy's help. And in that respect, I will keep paying Etsy all their fees and I will keep trucking with them for now. But it would be nice to step away from the platform, because I'm not blind to Etsy. But we have to do what we have to do, don't we? Really. So anyway. Right, guys, that said, I'm going to photograph my bits and bobs and get some things uploaded to Etsy today. So if you want to pop along to my shop, I will be much obliged. And I'm going to get on with some stitching. I need to do something that's not full coverage. I need to pick out something. I'll probably pick up a long dog, I think. And I've not done anything. My Jack Be Nimble has not moved since last week, since I showed it to you. It's still folded just as it was when I folded it up after my video. I just needed to concentrate on my treasure hunt bookshelf. I still need to do that today. So I'm just going to keep trucking. Right, guys, I've still managed to talk for 41 minutes and only like 16 minutes of that was cross stitch. So enough's enough. Thank you if you stuck me out to the end. Sorry it's been a bit of a sales pitch. I appreciate not many people enjoy watching bits of sales pitch, but I'm kind of excited to get on and get doing things again. Yeah, and I will keep stitching, and I will see you in about a week. Bye bye, guys.